Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to talk about another M60, because there's so many of them in the game nowadays. I ended up spading the M60A3 TTS, and the reason why I spaded this thing is because I was researching the 120S, which we've already talked about. This vehicle is once again a classic M60 platform around the 879093 area, and for the love of God, can we stop just adding these vehicles? It's actually doing my head in. I'm taking a break from grinding out all of these M60s and all the trees. They completely eat your soul. Right. So, what is the TTS, and why is it different from the Rise, which is sat at 8.7? Basically, the TTS is exactly the same as the Rise, apart from they've given it a thermal sight. It has a Gen 1 thermal sight, which, to be honest, with Gen 1s, they used to be very powerful, and then they added in a lot of effects into the game, and ended up pretty much like nerfing them into the ground, so now they're not really as good as just looking on normal sights. You know, they're okay from range to kind of see people who are sat around the place, but most of the time they're not very useful. The other reason why this vehicle is at 9.0 is because they gave it the M774 round. Basically, if you have a look at the Rise, it only has access to the M735 round, whereas the TTS gets the M735 at rank 1, which is actually really nice, and then it also gets the 774 at rank 4, which takes a long time, but once again justifies its BR. So that's the reason why this vehicle is at the BR it's at. So before you get that round, and also before you get the thermals, you are in fact an 8.7 vehicle masquerading at 9.0. You don't have good mobility until you get the engine upgrades, and even then it's still rough. You don't have any of the better parts of these vehicles, like the XM803 has, for example, you know, at the 9.0 BR as well, where it has the increased mobility and also the fun donkey gun with the rank 2 APFSDS. And basically what you have is just a vehicle which should be a low BR until you get basically one key upgrade, which is the APFSDS. It is the perfect example of what is wrong with the M60 platform in this game, where the major meat of the vehicle does not change, but because you get an upgrade, which once you get it, gives you a 2 to 5% increase in how well it's supposed to do, that means that it should be higher BR. And it sucks, it really does. These vehicles need BRs which move. They just need them until you have a... basically, the way I'd set it up is either one or two ways. First of all, when it comes to the APFSDS, you give people a limited amount of each round that they can take per battle. Let's say it's like 3 rounds or 5 rounds. Once you unlock the modification, you can take as much as you want out of the total ammo that's in the machine. Then, if you want to do it a different way, you basically have different ranks of modifications, and once you unlock one of the ranks of that modification, it has the opportunity to alter the BR. So for example, the M60A3 TTS would stay at 8.7 until you unlock your rank 4 modifications, where you get access to the M774 round, because that is literally the only reason why this thing is 9.0. And it's a rank 4 mod, which means that you have to grind through a lot of rank 1, 2, and 3 mods to get to that rank 4 mod to justify your existence. And that is just awful, right? The armor profile, hey presto, it's an M60 with a bunch of ERA on it. The ERA is worthless, it's chemical protection, everybody fires APFSDS in the meta vehicles that you will find, which is a lot of premium vehicles, meaning that you're facing a lot of spaded vehicles. The ERA is quite nice against stuff like helicopters, but even then, sometimes the rounds just, or the missiles just go straight through it, therefore not giving you a lot of stuff. The first stage ammo storage is 37 pieces, which is absolutely huge. You need to probably take about 15 or 20 pieces in this machine, and it has the wonderful ammo rack at the front, which means that once you're penned, you just explode. It has the 4-man setup. It also has the really annoying cupola at the top, and for some reason on these machines, and I don't know why, where you actually look at the gunner's optic on the vehicle itself, there is a little like slat on the vehicle, which is really weakly armored. So You have the commander's cupola, which is only about 36 millimeters. So what a lot of AAs will do is they'll pen that, and if they have any HE or even just any reflection, it'll just nuke your turret. People will also shoot it with HE. It overpressures you. Yes, this MBT gets overpressured. But then also where the gunner's sight is, there is kind of this little block, which is around about 29 millimeters, which basically means if you pen through that, which you can with every single gun at this BR, you will die. You can actually find it, okay? So just go to the M60 TTS. I wish I could show it to you right now. But go to the M60 TTS, go to the left-hand side of the turret where the armor is, and go between the gunner's sight and the commander's cupola. And you will find, as you go through it, on the variable thickness armor of the turret, there is a piece of armor which is between the gunner sight and the commander's cupola, which is 31 millimeters or 25 millimeters thick. And people always spam there with the AA because they're going for the cupola. But with the cupola, most of the time it just goes through, it only kills the commander. If you hit that part, the shell, for some reason, bounces down and destroys your whole turret, and you just die. There's so many times I've just died to AAs because of that little slit that is sat there, and it should not exist. It obviously has a stabilized gun. It has all of the standard vertical and targeting speeds that you find from anything else, which is an M60 platform, and it's nice to have a stabilized gun. What I would prefer is a uprated engine, something just to give it a little bit more oomph, something to give it a little bit of difference in how you play, because this thing is 52.6 tons, meaning that it is heavier, and this is another problem with these M60 platforms. As you go up in BR, they get heavier. Their engines do not improve. What ends up happening is they get slower and technically get more firepower. But since you go up in BRs, mobility becomes more of a challenge and more of a thing that you have to focus on. This becomes more of a problem. For example, the standard M60 at 8.0. It's a 46-ton vehicle. It also has access to a 750 horsepower engine at 2400 RPM. The AOS, 48-ton vehicle. The same engine power setup. The Rise, 53-ton vehicle. Same engine setup. The TTS, 52.6-ton vehicle with the same engine setup. And of course the 120S we looked at earlier, that is 56.2 tons and also has access to the same engine power. So as you go up in these vehicles, your mobility decreases, and you're supposed to marry the fact that you get better rounds along with these decreases in mobility. But if I'm honest with you, I would much rather have the mobility than the round, and that is what sucks with the vehicle. Now, the sad thing is, because the lineup at 9.0 is really good for this American TTS, you can just basically play everything else and use this as a backup. You have the Sergeant York, which is one of the best gun AAs in the game. You have the Macabre Mark I as an event vehicle. If you unlock that, you have the XM803, which has good mobility and is fun, and this leads to the TTS being able to actually do really well. Like, for example, when I spaded this thing out, 68 battles, 102 kills, 47 deaths, so 2 to 1, very good, 71% win rate. Because of the lineup, because I was able to do a lot with the Sergeant York and also a lot with the XM803 while getting an initial advantage with the TTS. Does that mean the vehicle's good? No, it doesn't, which is why stats lie all the time, and you've got to be very careful with these things. The fact that I got a 2 to 1 and a very high win rate with this thing, you have to compare it to other stuff, like the 2A7 that we spaded before, where I have a 5 to 1 KD and an even higher win rate. So yeah, this vehicle needs variable BRs, or it needs some stock APFSDS, or it just needs something to make it a little bit more fun to play, because I'm super sick of these platforms. They are just dumb. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Tullio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pieman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Alan Hacker, Ozzy Panzer, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Cam Arslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.